You've heard it a million times, but you might not even realize it. It's a sound that has echoed through the halls of cinema history for over 70 years. A short, sharp man's scream of agony that has become the ultimate inside joke in Hollywood. This is the story of the most famous sound effect in history, the Wilhelm scream. It's a sonic signature that has been hidden in plain sight, or rather, in plain hearing, in some of the biggest movies ever made. From epic space operas to sprawling fantasy adventures, this scream connects franchises and filmmakers across decades. But where did it come from? No? And how did this single, unremarkable sound effect become a legendary part of filmmaking culture? Our story begins not in a galaxy far, far away, but in the sun-drenched landscape of 1951 Florida, during the production of a Warner Brothers film called Distant Drums. The movie was a Western adventure starring Gary Cooper, set against the backdrop of the Seminole Wars. In one particular scene, a group of soldiers is wading through a swampy marsh. Suddenly, one of them is grabbed by an alligator and dragged underwater, letting out a pained, high-pitched scream. This was the first time the world would hear what would later be known as the Wilhelm scream. At the time, it was just one of many sound effects recorded for the film. The scream was likely performed by an actor named Sheb Wooley, a character actor and singer who had a minor role in the film. While there's no definitive studio documentation to prove it was him, most sound historians and insiders agree that Wooley's voice is the one behind the iconic yelp. After its use in Distant Drums, the scream was archived in the Warner Brothers sound effects library. Filed away under the generic label "man being eaten by alligator," it was just another sound on a reel, waiting to be used again. And it was. The studio recycled it in a handful of its other films throughout the 1950s and 60s. It appeared in the 1953 Western, The Charge at Feather River. In this film, a character named Private Wilhelm gets shot in the leg with an arrow and lets out the very same scream. It was this character's name that would eventually give the sound effect its famous moniker. Also popped up in the 1954 sci-fi classic *Them. When a giant ant grabs a man, and in the 1956 epic The Searchers * starring John Wayne. For 2 decades, the scream was just a convenient, reusable sound effect plucked from the studio library by editors who likely didn't give it a second thought. It was a functional piece of audio, nothing more. That all changed in the 1970s, when a new generation of filmmakers emerged, a group of movie-loving friends who would change Hollywood forever. This group included George Lucas and Steven Spielberg, and a talented young sound designer named Ben Burtt. Burtt was a student at the University of Southern California's film school, right? And he and his friends developed a fascination with this particular scream. They noticed it appearing in all these old Warner Bros. Pictures and found it amusingly distinct. It became a running gag among them, a kind of auditory Easter egg they'd listened for in old movies. When Ben Burtt was hired by George Lucas to create the soundscape for a little film called Star Wars, he saw the perfect opportunity to bring his private joke to a much, much larger audience. Burtt was tasked with creating a completely new and unique universe of sounds, from the hum of a lightsaber to the roar of a Wookiee. But as a nod to the sound editing history he so admired, he decided to sneak in the scream. He found the original sound element from The Charge at Feather River, and officially named it Wilhelm after the character who let it out. In Star Wars: A New Hope, you can hear the Wilhelm scream when a stormtrooper is shot by Luke Skywalker and falls into a chasm on the Death Star. It was a subtle inclusion, a wink and a nod to his fellow sound-savvy friends. But the tradition didn't stop there. Burtt made it a personal signature, including the scream in almost every film he worked on. In The Empire Strikes Back, it's heard when a rebel soldier is hit during the Battle of Hoth. In Return of the Jedi, it's let out by one of Jabba the Hutt's cronies as he falls into the Sarlacc pit. Burtt's friend and colleague, Richard Anderson, also got in on the joke, incorporating the scream into the sound design for Steven Spielberg's Raiders of the Lost Ark. You can hear it when a soldier falls from the back of a moving truck during the famous chase scene. Suddenly, the Wilhelm scream was no longer just a Warner Brothers quirk. It had become an inside joke among the most influential filmmakers in the world. As Burtt and Anderson's careers flourished, so did the screams. It became a badge of honor for sound designers, a way of paying homage to the history of their craft and to the masters like Burtt, who had popularized the tradition. The 1980s and 90s saw the Wilhelm scream spread like wildfire through Hollywood. It was in Disney's animated classic Beauty and the Beast when Gaston falls from the castle tower. It appeared in Quentin Tarantino's debut film Reservoir Dogs during the chaotic shootout. It even made its way into the world of television, appearing in shows like The X-Files and Family Guy. The joke had gone mainstream. What was once a niche obsession for a few film students had become a global phenomenon. Directors like Peter Jackson and James Cameron embraced the tradition with gusto. Jackson used it multiple times throughout the Lord of the Rings trilogy, most notably when a soldier falls from the battlements of Helm's Deep. The scream became so prolific that it began to transcend its status as an inside joke. For many audience members, spotting the Wilhelm scream became a game, a fun piece of movie trivia to share with friends. It was a sign that you were in on the secret, that you were part of the club. The list of films and franchises that feature the Wilhelm scream is staggering. It's in Toy Story, Titanic, Indiana Jones, and The Last Crusade, the Pirates of the Caribbean series, Transformers, The Avengers, and hundreds upon hundreds of other productions. It has become a seemingly unbreakable tradition in the sound design community. But why this scream? What makes this particular sound so special that it has endured for over 70 years? Part of it is simply the power of tradition. For sound editors, using the Wilhelm is a way to connect with the filmmakers who came before them. It's a link in a long chain of cinematic history, a tribute passed down from one generation of sound artists to the next. There's also an element of playful rebellion. In the high-stakes, big-budget world of movie making, sneaking in this silly, over-the-top scream is a small act of creative mischief. The sound itself is also uniquely effective. It's generic enough to fit into almost any action scene, but just distinct enough to be recognizable to those who are listening for it. It has a certain theatrical, almost comical quality that makes it stand out from more realistic screams of pain. For decades, the origins and spread of the Wilhelm scream were the stuff of legend and speculation within the film industry. It wasn't until Ben Burtt began to publicly discuss his role in popularizing the sound that the full story began to come together. He pieced together its history, traced it back to distant drums, and gave credit to Sheb Wooley as the likely performer. Wilhelm's scream is more than just a sound effect. It's a testament to the collaborative and often playful nature of filmmaking. It reminds us that movies are made by real people who share a common language and a deep love for the history of their art form. It's a secret handshake passed down through the decades, from a dusty studio archive to the biggest blockbusters of the 21st century. So the next time you're watching a movie and you hear that familiar, high-pitched cry of agony, you'll know you're not just hearing a random sound effect. You're hearing a piece of history. A 70-year-old inside joke that has become one of cinema's most enduring and beloved traditions. The mystery of who screamed it and why it became so famous is, for the most part, solved. But the legacy of the Wilhelm scream continues to grow with every new film that uses it. If you enjoyed this look into one of cinema's greatest secrets, be sure to subscribe to Movies Recap Repo for more deep dives into your favorite films.